For today's notes, we're going to be covering finding the volume of cylinders and prisms. So again, here we went ahead and gave you your formula chart. And the only thing you're going to have to be worried about with looking at this formula chart today is underneath the volume section. I went ahead and zoomed in here. And so the volume for a prism or cylinder, the formula is going to be V equals BH, big B, little h. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and look at our next page, page 2, and we're going to start off by looking at the volume of a cylinder. So again, here they gave us V equals big B, little h. Now this big B represents the area of the base. So depending on what your base is, that's going to determine how you find the area. Since the area of our base is a circle, if I go over here to area, the area of a circle is pi r squared. So first, before I can find the area or the volume of this cylinder, I first have to find the area of my base, and then I will multiply that by my height. Now the height's going to be the distance between each of my bases. So the distance between both of these circles. So let's go ahead and look at example 1. First, it says find the volume. Okay, so we need to start off by identifying our base. Now, this is a cylinder, so its base shape is going to be this circle here. And I'm just going to drag this B with it. And it disappeared. Okay, so this cylinder tells me that across this circle is 8 centimeters. So if I'm going from each side of my circle, that's going to be my diameter. So here we abbreviated that with a D, and so it's going to be 8. Now, to find my radius, because that's what we really need, it's going to be half of the diameter. So half of 8 is going to be 4. So R equals 4. Now we're just left with H, which again is our height. Now, again, that's the distance between both of our bases. Our second base would have been down here. So here, this is going to be our height, which is 5 centimeters. Now here it's asking us for the shape of our base. Now the shape of our base is a circle. And remember, the formula for the area of a circle we found was pi r squared. So, okay, now remember, now that we have to find the area of our circle, we can always go back to our formula chart. And I'm going to go back up to area of a circle. And remember, it's pi times r squared. So here, for formula for area, we're going to type in pi. Now, to get the pi symbol on your computer, you're going to go ahead and press Alt 227. Now we're multiplying this by r, so I'm going to put pi and I'm going to type the letter r, and it's squared. Now, when I say r squared, that means r with r to the power of 2. So to get the little superscript 2, we're going to go ahead and type in Alt 0178 on the keyboard, and it'll pop in the 2 for us. So before I can continue finding or to find the volume of this, I first need to find the area of my base shape. Now remember, it's pi times r squared. So I have pi times r is 4 squared. So to find the area, I'm going to go ahead and go into my calculator. From my home screen, I'm going to go ahead and press on Add Calculator. Now I'm going to press pi. Now the pi symbol is right here next to the H. And, oops, 1 second. I want to multiply this by r squared, which was 4 squared. So I'm going to type in 4 squared. So pi times 4 squared is 50.2655. We're going to go ahead and round this to the 10th place. So it's going to be 50.3. So the area of our base shape is 50.3. So I'm going to go ahead and type in 50.3. Next, we can apply this. We're going to put that number into our formula. So the formula for volume was V equals big B, little h. So remember, big B stands for area of my base shape, which was 50.3. So here I'm going to write 50.3. And I'm multiplying this by my height, which was 5. So 50.3 times 5, I'm going to go ahead and put that in my calculator. Oops. And 50.3 times 5 is 251.5. So here, our answer is going to be 251.5. Now we have to add our units. Now, our unit is a centimeters, and in volume, they are cubic centimeters. So that's going to be to the power of 3. So when I write that, I'm going to put, to get the superscript 3, I'm going to hold the Alt button on my keyboard, and I'm going to press the number 0179. And it's going to put the little 3 right there. Okay, so that's our first example. Let's go ahead and do another example on finding the volume of a cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next page. Okay, so now we're here on example 2, and again, we have a cylinder. So the first thing I needed to do is identify my base. So here, remember the base of a cylinder is always going to be the circle, so our base is right here. And I'm just going to drag over the big B to indicate that that is my base. Now, let's go ahead and write these dimensions very quickly. Now, it's telling me here that all across this is 3. Now, remember, that's the diameter. So that is 3. Now, really what we need whenever we're trying to find volume is the radius. That's mainly what we deal with. Now, remember, radius is half of the diameter, and half of 3 is 1.5. Next, we just have our height. Now, our height is the distance between both of our bases, which means that it is going to be 6. So, again, the shape of our base is a circle. And remember, the area of a circle is pi times r squared. Now, whenever we have to write this here for the formula, we're going to press Alt on the keyboard, and we're going to press 227. That's going to pop up pi. I'm multiplying this by r to the power of 2. Now, to get r squared, the power of 2, I'm going to press Alt 0178. And that's going to bring up the superscript 2. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll this down a little. Before I can find or apply anything to my volume formula, again, I need to find the area of my base. Now, I have the formula right there, which was pi r squared. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite that. So I have pi times my radius was 1.5 squared. So coming down here to my calculator, I'm going to go ahead and enter in pi times 1.5 squared. Now, when I do that, I get 7.06858. Now, remember, you can just round it to the tens place. So here, my hundredths place is a 6, so this will round this up to 7.1. So here, the area of my base is going to be 7.1 centimeters squared. So for big B, I'm going to just put 7.1. Now, since I found this to be the area of my base, I'm going to go ahead and substitute that into my formula over here. Now, we found that the area of our base was 7.1. Now, multiplying that by my height, which is 6. So in my calculator, I'm going to put 7.1 times 6, and I get 42.6. So here, the volume of this cylinder, again, is 42.6. And remember, we deal with cubic units, which is to the power of 3. So this is going to be centimeters cubed. And remember, to get the superscript 3, we're going to type Alt 0179 on our keyboard, and it's going to pop up that superscript for us. So that was finding the volume of our cylinder. Let's go ahead and look at a prism. Now, finding the volume of a prism is very easy. You've been doing this since about 5th grade at the very earliest, and we always remember this as length times width times height. But in 8th grade math, you get this presented to you a little bit differently. So again, I need to identify my base. Now, here, this can be your base, or this can be your base, but for this instance, we're going to go ahead and go from top to bottom here. So this is going to be my base. And here, the shape of our base is going to be a triangle. I'm sorry, a rectangle. It's not a square because this length is 3 and this is 2. If it were 3 and 3, then the area would be the shape would be a square, but it's a rectangle. Now, we know we find the area of a rectangle on our formula chart tells us area of a rectangle or parallelogram is A equals little b times little h. Now, this is where I think a lot of people get confused. Just because of the big B here. Now, little b you can also think of as length, or you can also think of this as length times width. So just the base and the height of your base shape. Think of it like a triangle. Okay, so, but we're going to talk about the dimensions first. So here, the length is going to be, we can do 3 as our length. Now, length and width of your prisms can be interchangeable, but what really matters is your height. So the length is 3, the width is going to be 2. Now, when it comes to your height, remember, this is going to be the the distance between both of your base shapes. Now, I have my first base shape here and my second here. So the distance between them is 6 centimeters, so my height is going to be 6. So whenever I come down here to find the formula for area for my rectangle, remember this can be base times height or length times width. So looking at my base shape, that's all I'm looking at right now. I'm going to multiply 3, which can be my base or my length, and I'm going to multiply this by 2, which can be my height or my width. These are the same formula. Now we know 3 times 2 equals 6, so B equals 6. Now we're going to go ahead and apply this to our formula. So we have volume equals big B times little h. Now remember, big B applies to the overall formula of my base shape, which was 6. Now I'm multiplying this by my height, so the height of my 3D image is 6. So 6 times 6 is 36, but to show you in the calculator, again, 6 times 6 is 36. So the volume of this prism is going to be 36 cubic centimeters. So I'm going to put cm for centimeters, and again, to get that alt code for the superscript 3, we're going to hold the alt key on my keyboard, and I'm going to press the letters 0179. When I release the alt, it'll put the superscript 3 right there. Okay, so that was finding volume of a prism. Those are the very easiest. I think it gets a little bit, the only time it'll get a little bit more complicated is whenever you have to find triangular prisms and possibly trapezoidal prisms. But let's go ahead and go on to the last page. And here, for example 4, we have a cylinder, but it's going to be, we're going to cut it in half. So the formula for, our base shape is going to be this semicircle here. That's going to be big B. Okay, so here on this side, it tells us that the distance across the circle is 10 meters. Now remember, if it's going all the way across, that is telling you the length of your diameter, which is 10. Now we need to find the radius. Now the radius is half of the diameter, which means that is 5. Now when it comes to your height, that's the distance between both of your base shapes, and here that's going to be 15. So here, the shape of our base is a circle, or as you can say, a semicircle. But whenever we find this, we're going to solve for a full cylinder, and we'll just cut it in half. So the formula for the area of a circle, I'm just going to go ahead and change that to circle. Whenever we have the formula for area of a circle, remember we have learned that it's pi times r squared. Now to get the alt code for pi, again, you're going to hold the alt key, you're going to press 227, and it's going to type in pi for you. You're multiplying this by r squared, so I'm going to type the letter r, and to get the alt code for the superscript 2, or to the power of 2, you're going to hold the alt key, and we're going to press the number 0178. And it gives you the superscript 2. So first thing I need to do is find the area of my base. Now, here, the area of my base is pi times r, which is 5 squared. So coming down here to my calculator, I'm going to press pi times 5 squared. I press enter, and I get 78.5398. Now remember, I can round this to the tenths place, so here it's going to be 78.5. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in right here. B equals 78.5. Now that I have found the area of my base, I'm going to go ahead and apply it to the formula for volume of, to find the volume of this cylinder. Now, volume equals big B times little h. Now, again, big B stands for area of our base shape. We've already found that, so big B is 78.5. Now multiplying this by my height, which is 15. So in my calculator, I have 78.5 times 15, and I get 1,177.5. But that is not my final answer. Now, remember, this is only half of a cylinder. So what I'm going to have to do with this, I'm going to have to divide this by 2. So in my calculator, I'm going to take 1,177.5, and I'm going to divide that by 2. And now I have found that the volume for this cylinder is 588.75 meters cubed. So volume equals 588.75 meters cubed. And to get the cubed, we're pressing Alt 0179. And it'll bring up the superscript 3. Okay, so that was finding volume for cylinders and prisms. Some big takeaways from this are to remember that the volume for areas and to find the volume of cylinders and prisms, the formula is going to be V equals little b times little h. Now, depending on what your base shape is, that will affect your B. If you're trying to find the area, if your base shape is a circle, it's going to be pi times r squared. And if your area or your base shape is a rectangle, it'll be little b times little h, or it'll be length times width. A big take, just remember to look here to find the formulas to find the area of your base shape. Now, remember that the unit we use whenever we're finding volume is units cubed, or cubed units, cubic units. So that's something with the superscript 3. So you can have centimeters cubed, you can have meters cubed, feet cubed, inches cubed. And that's about it. So go ahead and complete your assignment. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Good luck.